have decided to withdraw Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger from the Economic Community of West African States without delay.
Hello viewers, welcome once again to Think Tank TV. Now today I want us to talk a little about some of the international politics that is happening in the world, paying closer attention to some of the African countries like Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. It's actually no news that these three countries have decided to pull out of ECOWAS, but the question is, why have they decided to pull out of ECOWAS and what do they stand to benefit? Now, I'll be giving you some deeper insight as to what exactly is happening. Some of the information you obviously would not hear from the national television. For those of you who may not have a deeper understanding of what exactly is happening, recall that some months ago, these three nations had a coup in their nation, where the military in that nation forced the democratically elected president to leave office and they took over power. People have been wondering, where did this whole thing come from and why did it happen all simultaneously? Let's take a look at the root cause. First of all, recall that before all this happened, we had Putin of Russia, the president of Russia, have a confrontation with NATO and some of the European nations when they wanted to take a hold of the control of Ukraine. Putin went ahead to demand that NATO does not admit Ukraine into that body. But NATO went ahead to admit Ukraine, and some of the European nations went ahead to support Ukraine against Russia. So what did Putin do? Putin decided to go after some of these nations that gave aid to Ukraine to continue the fight up until today. Since you do not permit me to take a hold of Ukraine, I would also take out the countries which you take a hold of. Now, records have it that France have colonized most of these African countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. For the records, you may not hear this on the national television, but I'm just giving you a base to exactly what happened. So Putin went ahead to convince most of the military juntas in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali to take over power from democratically elected presidents in those nations. It was quite easy because the presidents of those nations have not been doing well. Obviously, we all know about the shenanigans of African presidents, how that African presidents have not given the people the dividend of democracy. So it seemed very easy for Putin to convince them and manipulate them to take over power, giving them the requisite support that they will need just in case a war breaks out. Yes, these leaders went ahead to take over power from their democratically elected presidents. And the question is that lately, we have seen the hand of Russia in these countries. They've had a series of meetings, and Russia is obviously backing these nations against some of the European nations. So the truth of the matter is that they have seen Africa and some of these underdeveloping countries as a playground of their pursuit to become the world power and control the demographies of the world. Recall that these French countries that have been in most of these African countries as their colonial masters have always taken advantage of them. Now, my question is that we've seen Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger go ahead to accept some of the Russian military in their border after chasing out France. I'm going to be giving you the implications of those decisions. But before I do that, I'd like us to hear from Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, who is former Minister of Foreign Affairs, to give us an analysis of what his take is about the current decisions and the current happenings in the ECOWAS nation.
I see the hand of Russia in this. I think Russia is emboldening these three countries to break up ECOWAS.
In fact, Putin has been the brain behind
as part of the attempt to weaken what one will call the Western influence in this part of the world. And yet, Russia has not shown that she has the capability to help these three countries to combat the jihadists, the Tuaregs, the ISIS, who are running wild in the Sahel. Because Russia is still, not only is Russia tied down in
Ukraine.
Where are they fighting now?
Ukraine.
Russia is tied down in Ukraine. So we have a confused situation on our hand. The reason I call it a crisis is because these three countries, in terms of land mass, That's about half of ECOWAS. So we are not dealing with just a little hiccup on our hands. Presumably the fact that our president goes to France and is in France at the moment, kind of, if you like, reinforces, this fear in their minds that the ECOWAS policies are actually French policies. Number two, they say that the sanction is, creating terrible situations, economic situations for their people, whereas they expect us to step in and help them confront the jihadists. Of course, how they expect us to do that when they are still under suspension? We are going to need some clever steps diplomatically on this matter. And I think that ECOWAS needs some fast thinking to make sure that this situation does not get out of hands.
You've seen it for yourself. Now, a wise man once said that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. We have seen a situation where these military juntas in Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso went ahead to send away the military bases of France from their nations. Quite a good one. Why should we have military bases of these foreign nations in our countries as African nations? We've had a lot of people speaking against it, like the likes of Julius Malema, PLO Lumumba and the rest of them. The question is, why will you now go ahead to accept Russia military bases in these same nations where you chased out France military bases? Because we just saw the Russian government come with some aid to these same African countries, and I say this is exactly the same thing that some of our colonial masters did. They brought about aids and began to take control of our leadership. What these military juntas in Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso must realize is this: why are these men so interested in giving you aids? Because of course, for them to begin to invest in the African nation, they obviously have an interest. And I hope that this their interest will finally not degenerate into what we had with France in the past. Our presidents in Africa must learn to be independent. Because the moment these people begin to give you aid, it's obvious that they have an interest. And that interest is what you cannot unveil until you're deadly trapped into their corpse. Please, I'd like you to do well to share this video, because I know that either directly or by proxy, most of our leaders are going to be seeing this video to become aware of what exactly is happening in the African nation. Also do well to go to the comment section and drop your thoughts. Let's get to know what you think about the current happening in these African nations and ECOWAS, and we shall continually be here to serve you. Please intentionally do well to like this video, because when you like it, YouTube recommends the video for more people to get to watch. Thank you so much to all our viewers and returning subscribers who do not take it lightly. My name again is Moses, and this is Think Tank TV. See you on our next video. Bye for now.